go back, right?
No.
Right dead.
Wait,
One more.
one more behind me. Up on you, Enric.
Go.
Good shit.
Let's go.
Wow.
Hey, what's going on, Champ Squad? My name is Vinsanity if you guys are new, and welcome back to another Apex Legends video. So now that we're approaching the end of Season 7, I figured I'd make an updated Legends tier list. I think we could definitely anticipate some pretty big Legend balancing changes coming to the game in just over a week's time, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and rank all the Legends in Apex Legends as they currently stand. Obviously, it goes without saying that this is just my opinion, of course, but I'm going to try to provide some reasoning behind why I'm placing certain Legends as certain tiers, but definitely let me know in the comment section below where you agree or disagree with my rankings. Real quick, before we hop into it, if you guys are new, I upload educational Apex videos and high kill gameplay specifically for console players, so if this sounds like it could be something that would interest you, consider dropping a like and subscribing. I do play with subscribers on Sundays now, so if you're looking for a chance to play with me, make sure to drop a sub and join my Discord, the link will be in the description. Alright, so first up we've got Bangalore, who I'm going to place in A tier. Admittedly, I might be a bit biased as I am a Bangalore main, but she's my wild card, and I definitely do think she's a top tier legend. She has the best passive ability in the game in my opinion with her double time, and couple this with her smokes, she can be really elusive. She can get out of tough situations and disengage from fights very quickly, and she also has a pretty small hitbox but doesn't have low profile. Her ultimate also got a slight buff at the start of the season, which makes her artillery deploy a few seconds faster, and I will say that I've been getting a lot more hits with Bang's ultimate since then. Overall, I just think Bangalore has a ton of potential, a lot to offer, and in the right hand, she's a top legend. So next up is Bloodhound, who I'm actually going to put in S tier. At the start of the season, I did place Bloodhound in A tier, but the truth is I didn't really have that much experience playing with him or playing him at that point. But after running with him on my ranked team this past split, I do think he deserves the bump up to S tier because of how valuable he is in competitive play. He offers the team so much vital information with his scans. I do think tracking is one of the most underrated and important skills to have in Apex, and Bloodhound basically provides your whole team with intel about the location of the entire enemy team. So it kind of takes away that necessity to track and does it for you pretty easily. So I think it's one of the most useful things to have on your team, and I do think Bloodhound is a top legend this season. So third up, we've got Caustic, who I'm going to place in A tier. Having played ranked this past split, I've had the misfortune of going up against Caustic on pretty much every team, and I can actually understand why. He's just such a solid defensive legend. He can effectively hold down a building better than any other legend in the game. His gas canisters can block off doors, and if they're activated, the gas does a ton of damage and also slows you down. And also something I kind of came to realize in this past rank split is that his canisters can offer Caustic and his team on-the-go cover, which can be extremely helpful, especially in D3 plus rank lobbies. Also, despite his larger hitbox, Caustic does have the Fortify perk, which makes him take less incoming damage, and combine this with his gas bomb ultimate, he's just an absolute menace and the best offensive legend in the game in my opinion. So next up we've got Crypto, who I'm going to place in B tier. I think that in the right hands, Crypto is probably an A tier legend, but I think that of all the legends in the game, Crypto is definitely the hardest to master. There's a huge skill gap when it comes to playing Crypto and making use of his drone effectively, but if you can get it down, he's extremely useful to the team. His drone can provide you important intel on enemy position, just as Bloodhound can, and he can also pick up banners, res instantly, and hit survey beacons very quickly. His EMP, if used well, can pretty much guarantee your team will win a gunfight if you push up right behind it. So overall, I do think Crypto is very solid. I'd probably put him as an A tier, but I just think that for most players in Apex, they don't use him to his best potential. Gibraltar's up next, and for me, he's an S tier legend. I just think that Season 7 has been very kind to Gibby, as I expected he would get a nerf at some point, but it just never came. A huge misconception in Apex is that Wraith is the best 1v1 legend, but I think that's very wrong. It's this guy. Gibby's just an absolute chungus. He can soak up so much damage before dropping, with his gun shield providing him with extra health and his fortified perk reducing incoming damage. Combine this with his dome tactical that provides the whole team with instant cover and fast heals / reses, and Gibby has one of the best kits in the game, especially for ranked. He just makes any team more formidable, and they'll always be more difficult to bring down if they're running a Gibby. So next up, we've got the Season 7 legend, Horizon, who for me is S tier and easily the best legend in the game right now. She's just so damn annoying to go up against. It seems like she can get out of any tough situation with her gravity lift, making it extremely hard to land shots on her and track her when she uses her lift and her air strafe. I just think her lift is broken because she still gets it back very quickly, every 5 seconds or so, and when she uses it, she's extremely difficult to follow. Along with being very elusive in 1v1s, she also has incredible team utility, as she can get her entire team pretty much instant high ground on any building. Her ultimate's also a death sentence when it comes to third parties. There have been so many times where I'm fighting a team and a black hole lands on me along with 5 nades. It's super toxic, and for right now, it's safe to say Horizon is pretty broken, and I anticipate her getting some nerfs next season. Next up, we've got Lifeline, who's going to be joining Horizon in S tier. I just think Lifeline offers such extreme team utility with their auto reses, and that an excellent Lifeline is more valuable to a team than probably any other legend. A Lifeline who can always be the last one to go down, playing at her teammates' heals, and insta-dropping reses can make your team a whole lot more formidable. The res shield offers Lifeline and her team on-the-spot cover, which can be used effectively to keep enemies back, especially if you're running something like the Mastiff. Overall, I think Lifeline is just great all around, and she's S tier for me. So next up's Loba, who I'm going to place in C tier. Loba did get a pretty nice buff recently, which allows her entire team to take as much ammo as they'd like from her black market ultimate, but I still think Loba will never be a top tier legend, because while faster looting is definitely helpful, I don't think that a legend built around looting will ever be as good as legends designed to help your team win gunfights directly. Her tactical also still lags behind other mobility options, like Pathfinder's grapple or Horizon's airlift, because the animation just takes so long to deploy. I think Loba's definitely on the up, but for me, she's mid, maybe high C tier, kind of average of the pack. So next up, we've got Mirage, who's going to also be in C tier. To be honest, I'm not really sure if Mirage got the recent buff where all his decoys were supposed to have footsteps, because for me, only the actual Mirage has footsteps at this point, so his ultimate is still fairly easy to see through. I do think that the issue with Mirage for the past few seasons is that every time he gets a buff to his decoys, the player base is able to pretty quickly adapt and find a way to differentiate between the real Mirage and his decoys. A good Mirage is pretty rare, I'd say. However, someone who does know how to use him well can be very useful in his 1v1s and pretty much win all of them, especially when he uses their ultimate. But I just don't think he offers all that much to the team. For me, he's C tier. So joining Mirage in C tier, I'm going to place Octane. Part of me definitely wanted to put Octane up higher on this list, because I do think a good Octane who knows how to strafe and crouch spam while stimming will be able to pretty much win all of his 1v1s, but I just think Octane offers literally nothing for the team. It's still way too easy to get fried when you're using his jump pad. It's really a shame that Horizon's tactical, which she gets every 20 seconds or so, is literally 100 times better than Octane's ultimate. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I do think Octane's desperately in need for some buffs, Horizon's desperately in need of some nerfs, and hopefully Octane will be on the up in Season 8. So Pathy's up next, and I'm putting him A tier. Pathfinder's definitely a shadow of his former self from Season 3 or 4, where you could grapple every 15 seconds and also had a broken hitbox. But he's definitely on the up in Season 7. I think he still has one of the best tacticals in the game with his grapple, and now he can use it around every 20 seconds or so on average. His ziplines also offer good team utility in getting high ground, as well as getting decent horizontal distance when you're needing to disengage from a fight. The only issue left with Pathfinder is that his hitbox was expanded, making it easier to land shots on him, yet for some reason he still has increased incoming damage with low profile. Again, it's ridiculous that Pathfinder has low profile and Horizon doesn't. I know this is turning into a bit of a Horizon rant, but she's so broken at this point, and I hope that they sort of address these things in Season 8. So Rampart's going to be G tier. I don't think this is going to come as a huge surprise to anyone. She's in desperate need of a rework or, a buff. Her barricades can be useful, but they take a long time to deploy, they're fairly easy to shoot out and avoid, and her minigun's also pretty easy to detect and counter if you have decent in-game awareness. Overall, Rampart just feels like she doesn't really fit into the game all that well in the current meta, so I do think she's in desperate need of some sort of buff or rework in Season 8. So next up, we've got Revenant in B tier. After playing Revenant a fair bit this past rank split, I think he's actually a really solid legend. His ultimate gives your entire team a free push, basically without consequences, which if used to third party can pretty much guarantee you can win a fight without any risk at all. But part of Revenant's kit that definitely gets overlooked is his silence tactical ability. If you can land your silences with Revenant, it completely destabilizes your opponent. Without their tactical ability, they tend to kind of freak out, and it's really easy to get the kill on them. There were plenty of Wraiths that I silenced, and they had no idea what to do with themselves, kind of just ran out in the open and got fried. So I do think his tactical ability is really good as well, so overall, Rev's a solid choice, high B tier for me. Next up, I'm putting Wattson in B tier. I just think Wattson is definitely outmatched by Caustic as a defensive legend, but she's still pretty good for holding down buildings with her fences and also avoiding artillery attacks with her ultimate. She's really good for playing for positioning, but I do think the one thing keeping Wattson from being a better legend is that she has no offensive option at all. Caustic has his gas bomb, Gibby has his airstrike, but unlike other these defensively oriented legends, Wattson has no offensive option, which limits her utility in my opinion. And last but not least, Wraith is going to go in A tier. So Wraith is just not the queen of Apex that she used to be in my opinion. She's still a top legend, but not the top legend. She's very slippery, very elusive, great for 1v1 fights, but I think with her phase taking a few seconds to activate now and her portals not really being able to travel that far, she doesn't have quite the edge she used to have in Apex Legends. She's still probably the best for movement, she's still a really good legend, but for me she's outmatched by Horizon and a few other legends at this point. So up on the screen now I have my final tier list rankings where all the legends are placed in their tiers, and also within each tier I've ranked the legends from best to worst from left to right. So I do think Horizon is the best legend in the game currently. Rampart's the worst. I don't think there will be too much debate about that. But definitely let me know in the comment section how you feel about the rest of my rankings, where you agree, where you disagree, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Back to Wraith. Back to Horizon.
Pathfinder one.
You have whole bag, right?
No.
Right dead.
Wait,
One more.
one more behind me. Up on you and roof.
Bitch.
Good shit.
Let's go. Those kids are pissing me off. That was a team that was chasing me earlier too.
I'm pretty sure Kid Cujo's at Sweat.
Oh, he definitely is.
Wait, what was his name?
Kid Cujo.
You are the Apex
Kid
champions.
Cujo?